So on your Instagram bio, you've got UK's #1 videographer. That's quite a big statement.
I didn't say it, bro. The people, the people put me in that position. I've never claimed it. Obviously, I'm aware of like the work I've put in over the years, but and I guess like if we're talking like fully truthfully, right now, am I probably the #1 videographer in the fitness industry in the UK? Probably not the #1 guy now.
Mm,
Is that intentional? Yeah, because I kind of solidified myself in a position within the industry for quite a long time. And I know a lot of the guys coming up, which I speak to and I'm good friends with a lot of them as well, kind of looked at my work as the work to kind of work towards, you know? So yeah, it's one of those ones. It's the title's there, but I don't like walk around poking my chest out saying I'm the #1 guy because I definitely am not the one that everyone runs to these days.
yeah, I didn't think you did. I didn't think you did, but it was just a good way to start on.
Yeah, just wanted to give me a dig as soon as we start.
Yeah, exactly. So talk to me a bit about the inspiration behind Magic Eye Media. How did that all begin?
Mate, it's it's a long story, like so. Just to kind of cut it down as short as I can, Magic Eye was actually born out of my own fitness journey, if you want to call it that. Everyone calls it that these days, but me like getting into the gym, I never picked a camera up before that. Like I was always music, like DJing and stuff like that. So started training. YouTube kind of became like a thing that was bubbling. A lot of the earlier fitness influencers, bodybuilding or hardcore bodybuilding wasn't really a thing on YouTube at the time. It was more the influencers kind of running the scene. I think the bodybuilders weren't ever really comfortable putting that kind of content out, and obviously it's developed over time now. But at that point, I wasn't even a bodybuilder. I didn't really class myself as a bodybuilder until probably 3 or 4 years ago, really, like openly saying it.
Hmm.
Um, but I started training and kind of went through a bit of a transformation myself. And then I started filming my workouts on a GoPro in like a DW Sports, like it was called JJB Gym back then, but obviously the franchise has developed to Everlast now. So the Everlast commercial gym. So started filming myself on a GoPro there, putting some bits on YouTube. Kind of enjoy doing the editing aspect because, like I said, I was working in music prior to it, so I was always kind of savvy with like sequencing and
Hmm.
editing and all that. And then, yeah, that kind of just developed into me. I don't know, creating a skill that I never knew I had. Um, and I wasn't even pursuing it as like a business to take it to Magic Eye. It was never going to be Magic Eye. It was
Hmm.
just something I really enjoyed doing. And I think that's a key thing throughout my years on this planet is that anything I've ever been good at has come off the back of something I'm passionate about. Like
Yeah.
the music, I've always been a music fan. I still am to this day. Like there's decks in my office now behind the camera. Um, and I excelled quite far in that. And then obviously that transitioned into the videography, and excelled through that. So yeah, the videography started getting kind of picked up and people noticed my edits, employed me for a few jobs, and then c- snowballed. I mean, I'm talking like it happened overnight, but it definitely didn't. It was over years and years where I was
Never
holding
does.
down like many jobs and that alongside it. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. Really, the initial catalyst of me becoming Magic Guy was me just filming myself on a GoPro in a shitty gym.
That's how it's well. That's where I'm at. Well, it's not really a GoPro. It's a DJI, but
Yeah, well, they've come
same.
on so far, haven't they, since then?
Exactly.
Like,
It's the same thing. But
yeah,
um, okay. So you say that you're obviously backing away a tiny bit. Oh, probably not backing away necessarily, but you're allowing space for new and upcoming videographers and stuff like that. What would you say um, is almost missing out of some videographers? Not all, but some videographers that you've been noticing potentially.
think it's quite easy now to get sucked into a style of content. Um, that is one thing I really stayed cleared from throughout like my time doing it. Is I never there was like there's many trends in any industry, right? There's trends that pop up, and that will be the trend of that moment. And the same happens within videography. You'll see trends and styles of editing and color grading and things that would become the thing. But the problem with doing that and following that path is that you kind of lose what you're about or your style.
Mhm.
And like the guy that I followed, RGL Gus, who I'll still, I speak to this day, his kind of work was it inspired me. And then I, off the back of that, created my own style off the back of like what he used to do.
Mhm.
And then, it kind of cemented that for a good few years, doing all the bodybuilding content. And it's hard. It's hard not to get sucked into wanting to do that style, because you'll see that people will maybe be booking certain videographers because of their style, and you might
Mm.
start like, the imposter syndrome thing is real. Like you'll start second guessing yourself, thinking, do I need to switch up my style to get booked,
Mhm.
or do you just stay true to what your style is and run with it? And that's kind of what I did throughout the whole time. Still to this day, I never really look at other videographers' work
Mhm.
so much, um, because I don't want to be influenced, or never have wanted to be influenced too much by other creators' work.
Yeah, I think there's an art of being inspired by little things that people do,
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like you shouldn't be trying to copy people and kind of copy their style. Like you said, you were inspired by one videographer, and then you used that to then create your own style within the way that you wanted to present things.
yeah,
And I think that's
exactly.
quite important. It's like going back to what you were saying about enjoying the way that the fact that you just simply enjoyed videoing stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's the passion in it, is because you enjoy it so much, you have so much passion in making sure it's the way that you want it to be.
yeah,
And then as a result, everything comes off the back of that, because you're then presenting it in a way that people want to see it because it's your work and it's your art.
yeah. And you'll also get booked because of that as well. Like people will and have booked me for the style of magic guy. They
Hmm.
know if they come to me, they're not going to get something which is like one of the new guys coming up, Sam. He's killing it, but his style is very different to mine in terms of like the amount of After Effects and things he uses. And I
Hmm.
look at his stuff and I think it's incredible, because he's not been on the scene that long either. I remember him actually being out in Spain filming Jack Eagles for his pro card win,
Hmm.
and I think that was like the first time he introduced himself to me, because I was out there working for a supplement company. And he just came over and introduced himself, and he was very like new on the scene at that point. His work was nowhere near what it is now, and you can just see the development and how he's like created his style, and it's cool to see. But again, you know, you see Sam's work now, and it's like, do I need to start doing that? Like, and the fact is, yeah, you could, but then it's just like you're kind of getting influenced too much then to change what you're about and what you known for, I guess.
Yeah. It's almost like, especially like you're talking about editing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I edit my own content, and by doing that, obviously, I take inspiration from other people, and obviously learn how to edit from other people. But
Hmm.
then, in doing it myself, I learn what things that I like and what I think look good, and the way that I want to present things. And then all of a sudden, my content becomes more aligned because I'm enjoying doing it. So then I'm more passionate in presenting myself. So then I'm more passionate in the things that I edit and the way, the style that I edit. I think that's very
Exactly.
similar with photography. It's very similar with videography, and finding that style and that technique that you like. You might do
Yeah.
something by accident. You might turn the exposure up too high, and you're like, oh wait, no, that actually looks quite cool. You can edit that a
Yeah.
little bit.
I'll be
So
honest, half the time, most of my shit has been found out doing that, like where I've done something and I've kind of messed up. And then it's like, oh, actually, that looks pretty cool. And then you just develop off that error, you then improve and tweak it and make it, a legit actual thing that you do.
But I think a lot of people also they don't realize how much time things takes. Like you were saying, Magic Eye Media wasn't built overnight. It was built over years of
Yeah, yeah,
changes, mistakes, improvements, and just experience in general.
exactly.
Um, and I think that's the one thing that nowadays with social media, everything is so instant, and people
Yeah,
want to jump into something and they think they're going to blow up overnight just because they've all of a sudden seen someone blow up. But
yeah.
what you don't realize is that person has been working behind the scenes for a year, 2 years, 3 years before they even got the opportunity to show themselves.
hmm It's
And
it's that old iceberg meme, the iceberg with a tip. It's
yeah.
like it's that, and it is. I went like going back to when Magic Eye kind of first started bubbling. I'd been doing a little bit of work for Two Bros, and I remember messaging JP because RGL, who I just mentioned, was filming a lot of his stuff.
Hmm.
So I messaged JP thinking, "Oh, I'm filming for Two Bros now. He's gonna want me doing his content," and he ate me, like he ghosted me. And about a year later, the same guy slid back in my DM asking me to do work for him. So it's like, those moments, man, where you've like, you'll think you're ready for it, or you
Hmm.
think, I've put the work in now, so I should get it. It never normally comes. It comes at the times you're not expecting it, but you only get to that point once you've done the years of graft, but beforehand.
It's the art of delayed gratification, isn't it? It's the same with
Yeah,
bodybuilding. Um, like there's a reason why you don't get a pro card the first time you ever compete. It's
yeah,
like it takes time, it takes experience, it takes mistakes. Like you've got to learn from different things to know how you work, but how to manage different things and manage the system in order to make sure that you're presenting it in the right way. Now, your posing might be off, you might be flat, you might not be full enough. And like all of these different things have the impact which goes against what you should. So, although you think going onto stage, you're the best that you look, you might not be presenting it in the right way, or you might not be as good as someone else simply
yeah,
because they are just better.
yeah,
Um, and I think it's always just knowing that if you're not, if you don't expect something, even if it's a big thing, so say, for example, someone gives you an opportunity to film for them or something, it might not be a long term commitment. It might just be a one off thing. If you're not expecting something out of it, but you're taking it as the experience, you're taking it in, then that might reward you later down the line and it might not be immediate.
yeah. The first year that I was putting content out under the name Magic Eye, my first real shoot was 3 weeks in India with Body Power. Um, do you remember Body Power? I'm not sure if that's like before your time. It's like basically
It
the
rings a
Arnold.
bell. Yeah.
Body Power Expo was what the Arnold's is today, where you'd have the weekend in Birmingham NEC, hundreds and thousands of people with all the brands. So they asked me to do some video work for them on their tour of India. So I went over there, like we crushed the work. They were happy, and then there was promises of work after it. So I was thinking, like, I came back from India thinking, that's me done. I'm full-time videographer now. As soon as I get home, I didn't do one more job for Body Power after that. There was like false promises. So you're back in your day job. You're back looking for new clients. You're back driving up and down the country on a 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning to do any shoots that you can, just to build up your portfolio for fucking next to nothing as well, just to get that content. So yeah, it's exactly that, man.
Yeah, it's you always, if you're always not expecting the worst, but if you're always prepared for the worst, if it's not to work out, or if you're not to get that big exposure and they don't actually necessarily use your work, or you don't,
Yeah,
people don't see your work, or they don't tag you, or whatever it is, things that are out of your control. If you are prepared for that and you have, like you said, yeah, I'm full-time videographer now. um, you obviously weren't, or you then had to kind of build back up. So it's kind of making sure that your base is covered, and not like, as way too often now you see people who are like, I'm going to leave my job and just go full time and hope it works. It's
Mm,
like, it's
man,
like
it's
for the rare people it will work. And a lot of the time it works because they'll do anything and everything possible in order to get it.
yeah,
But not everyone gets that opportunity. And at the same time, you're potentially putting yourself in a really bad position for something that might not even be what you need to go down or what you eventually do.
yeah. Like with Magic Eye, I worked a full-time job in a completely different industry, in the telecoms industry. I was DJing 3 nights a week in like the local cities, so Cardiff, Swansea, Bristol, and then I was also trying to build Magic Eye. So that was three things I had on the go at one point, trying to make this Magic Eye thing that I had in my head work.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't have, I wouldn't say it's luxury, but I couldn't take the risk of like throwing all my chips in one bag for Magic Eye because I had two kids, I had a wife, a mortgage, bills. So it was like, I need to make sure all that shit is still taken care of, plus trying to build this imaginary world in my head where I can become a full-time videographer. And it was only so COVID was, I was still DJing up until COVID, and then before that, probably 2 years full time with Magic Eye. So I left my day job, but I was still juggling Magic Eye and DJing up until COVID.
Hmm.
I only kind of quit DJing because the clubs closed, obviously for COVID. So that was like, I was, to be honest, I was milking it for about 12 months. I could have given up, but I was just like, oh, we'll keep it going because it's easy work.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I had to juggle three things. It wasn't just like dive in the deep end. Some people may have the luxury, perhaps they've got financial backing from family members or something, money they've inherited or something like that, where they're able to take the risk a little bit more. But yeah, there was definitely too much risk for me to do that.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm doing the same. Obviously, I'm juggling coaching. I'm at a full-time job. I've started a podcast. Like I've putting so many different eggs in different baskets, because at the end of the day, I'm at the start of the journey. I don't know which one's going to work out. I don't know which one's going to be the thing that takes me to the next position that I need to be in.
Hmm.
It's almost like, yes, it's really hard work, but later down the line, I might be in a situation where I'm actually working harder, but because the work was so difficult now, it might seem easier. So you're
Yeah,
doing more and you're doing loads of different things, but in the grand scheme of things, because you've worked so hard now in different positions where you might not enjoy everything you're doing, but later down the line, you will be working harder, but because you enjoy everything and you've given yourself that opportunity by doing what you're doing, you're now in a position where you love everything, and it's piss work.
yeah. It never feels like work. Like everyone always asks me about like these long days I've done with Magic Eye or these long trips and stuff. And yeah, of course you're feeling it, like the amount of hours on the road, the days away from home, like even on those trips where you're abroad with an athlete and you're like on a different time schedule to them. So when they're going to bed, you're actually going to the office table or the kitchen table in the Airbnb wherever you are to edit then until 4 in the morning. Then you go to
Mhm.
sleep, and then the athlete gets up at 6. So you're on your own timeline, like you're on like 2 hours sleep, if that. Um, but you know, there's been so many experiences that I've had over the last 10, 11 years, man, through that. You'd never take it away, and it doesn't feel like work, exactly like you said.
Yeah. Um, there's so much beauty in being able to be so passionate in something that you'd almost choose to put yourself into hardship in order to fulfill it. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's something that I love so much, is like you're saying, it doesn't feel like work. Like I did a podcast this morning. I then rushed and trained, and then I came back and I'm doing a podcast with you now. but
Yeah.
like I love every bit because I'm talking to people, learning new experiences about different things and different people and learning their journeys, and you never know, I might take things from every single one and input that into my own life and
Yeah.
make my own life better. And I think that's what's so amazing, because it's just easy. Like for me, it's just conversations with people. Yeah, like each conversation is like an hour and a half long, but
Yeah.
it's not work to me. I'm just sitting and having a chat.
Yeah. That's it. And if you can get something else out of it for your own, inspiration or whatever, then job done. It's two birds with one stone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you believe that external videography and or photography can share an ultimate side to an athlete or coach?
By external videography, how do you mean? Do you mean like,
So, like, say for example, you're the videographer for an athlete or coach,
yeah,
and obviously you're creating, whether it's a YouTube video or even just a montage reel or whatever. Do you feel like that would share an alternative side to that athlete or coach that someone might not even know?
depends on the athlete, bro, or the
True.
coach. It
True.
depends on if they are vulnerable enough to let you film what they're not really showing the world. I've been with athletes that I'll be on a good relationship with, but when the camera's down, and I will see that vulnerable side, but they won't want to show that on camera. And obviously, as a professional, that's something I'm gonna abide by as well, because it's part of the agreement. But yeah, I mean, you will get like certain athletes and coaches, and I mean, just individuals in general that are happy to be more vulnerable and show like a different side to them on camera. And I think now, with the way social media's gone, especially in the last, I'd say 2 years, you'll you'll see a lot more of it where people are being more vulnerable, because that vulnerability, it sells actually, because the gimmicky kind of stuff that has been running the social media platforms for years on end now is kind of come to its end date. People want real. People want exactly who that person is. When I've like documented my own preps and put all the content out, and I've been like really vulnerable, like and talked about things which not many people know about in these preps, and people have related to me so much more because of that. Whether it's because they've gone through similar shit, or they've had something go on in their lives, but it's completely different. But the vulnerability that I'm allowing to them to see, it puts you just on a more of a personal level. So, short answer, it depends on the athlete. Long answer, I think yes, you'll see it a lot more, just because of like I said, there's going to be money in the bank off the back of people becoming more vulnerable, because it sells. Sex doesn't sell anymore, vulnerability does. That's your title for the YouTube video, bro.
That's my title. Cool. Fine. Done.
Yeah.
Um, but that is true, and that is the reality of things. And I think it's a good thing that we're now coming to that point where people are starting to be more authentic. They're starting to shy away from having two separate sides, one being social media side and one being the person that everyone else sees. Because at the end of the day, especially in the coaching scene, like someone wants to buy into someone that they know that they'll get that person in the brand. And like the last thing you want is to buy into a social media persona and then have a completely different person on the other end. It's like there's two different sides to the scale. And I think that's something that's is being realized a lot more now.
Yeah.
That authenticity is the thing that people buy into, and it's no longer your great sales tactics and your sales pitches. And I think that has its place. I think that will always have its place within the fitness space, but I think the people that you want to work with, the people that will work best for you, are the ones that will buy into you for your authenticity and who you are
Yeah.
as a person.
Let me turn this brightness up because the sun is kicking my ass. Yeah, the problem you've got though is people will start using that vulnerability as a sales thing. So what I mean by that is you'll see fake vulnerability. We've already seen it. You've seen it. Like, I'm not going to mention names, but there's many boys and girls that have put content out where you'll see them crying to the camera, sitting in their car, talking about this, talking about that, being upset about things. And as soon as that camera's off, it's like
They're fine.
they're fine. You know, it's purely for content. I've been there when someone's done it. I'm definitely not going to mention the name. It was going back about 4 years ago. And I saw someone do a retake of like 3 times because they weren't upset enough in the first 2 takes.
Crazy.
And there was like four of us there. So there was like 3 other guys who witnessed this happening, and we were like blown away that this was happening purely for content. Like, if it was genuine emotion, then, you know, it is what it is. But it was purely for content, and I was like, wow, this is like where this going. This is where this heading.
Yeah, there's always a gray area, isn't it? Anytime something happens, anything that's different, and as soon as something starts working for other people, it's
Yeah,
always exploited in the wrong ways. And it goes the same with, like, I've had a few different people asked to be on this, and a lot of the time, like, some of them, I know the intention behind it. I know the reason why they want to behind it, whether it's exposure, whether it's um, to find more traffic and to have more traffic onto their page. And it's like, the reason I built this is to share people's stories, but also share the intent and the reason behind why people built things
yeah,
and why they're so passionate about it. And if I know that the intention behind what you've built isn't necessarily for passion, it's more for money and just exploit, then
uh-huh.
I'm not going to have you on here, because at the end of the day, the whole point of this is my podcast, I'm trying to build a reputation. I'm trying to build something that people relate to and they enjoy and they want to listen to. And that's the
Yeah,
reason why I'm trying to get as good guests as I can. It's not necessarily an ego thing for me. Like, amazing. Like, I've had you on here, I've had Tim on here, I've had Jason on here. Like, that's amazing. And every time they say yes, I'm like, okay, great, sick. This is awesome.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's more, every time that I get a guest, I'm thinking about how can, like, for this one, I'm thinking about how can newer videographers take things away from this? How can people who are newer in the bodybuilding space or the coaching space, how can they take information from you that you are sharing?
yeah,
Um, it's always, and even like the questions that I come up with is is a little bit of like, what do I want to learn from you, but also what do other people want to learn? What do other people
yeah.
potentially want to hear from you?
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's it's authentic. So authentic, organic content, and and I think that's the key thing that you need to, not you, but like guys watching this, listening, is that they'll need to take away is like, as long as your content is authentic, the organic reach off the back of it will go where it's supposed to go. And then it's only when you get a little bit more savvy with it and you know what's working, you're still creating the authentic content, but you just know which kind of goes further for you with your own content there. That's the key thing. You're not trying to, morph the content to meet a thing, which eventually is going to morph kind of what you're putting out there, your personality and your persona. So yeah, that's the key thing, is just keep it authentic, and
Everything shifts though. I think that's the key thing, is like, don't expect what you're doing to be perfect straight away. Like, when I started posting out content, like when I go back to the start of my talking head reels, I wasn't very confident in front of a camera, and you could tell,
yeah,
you can see it. Everything sounded a bit robotic. Like, when I first started out, people were messaging me like, I can see that you're reading scripts or whatever, or that it's just not authentic and it's not
yeah,
you, like, show you. But then you look at my most recent ones and you couldn't tell whether or not I'm reading a script or not, or you couldn't tell whether it's authentic or not. And
Yeah.
I'm always having a shift. And part of it is more confidence behind a camera. This podcast, talking to people, being in the limelight all the time.
Hmm.
Even just the fact that the podcast is surrounded by me, like guests come on to speak to me, like to be interviewed by me and stuff like that. It's like people are then starting to invest into what I have to say and who I'm bringing on.
Yeah.
Um, and so like lately I've had a big shift in terms of the kind of content that I want to put out. Like when I'm starting out my coaching journey, yes, it was a little bit salesy. Um, and at the time I thought that was needed. I thought that was necessary in order to get sales. But now I'm starting to realize that with this podcast, I'm starting to build a bit of authority. I'm starting to build a bit of reputation. I don't then want to be on the backside being super, super salesy, because then
No.
people who are then following me for this or following me for just my journey in general, I don't want them to be spammed with like sales stuff and sales pitches. Um, and I think that's the real important thing is it comes down to what do you value? What do you hold? Is it you want to be known as that person who sells all the time, or do you want to be known that person who's just a good coach that people want to buy into, or is just a good person that genuinely gives out information and wants to help people?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, man. Nothing that I've ever done has been promoted in a salesy way. Just kind of been me throughout it all. Even like with the Magic Eye stuff, I don't think I've ever really. I don't think in 11 years, mate. I don't think I've ever put a post out to like advertise like bookings, and to to do that. I think even in the initial stages of it, not that I can remember anyway. It's always just been off the back of each shoot. It was just a rolling thing. I was just like, right, shoot, do the content, edit it, put it out, job done. Then another shoot will roll in. I mean, and that's up until now. Like, I look at my Magic Eye bookings for the year, and there's a few scattered here or there that people have booked in advance, like well in advance, because they're super organized. But then it just rolls on a month to month basis because
Mm-hmm.
business is where it's at, right? So like the business is kind of solidified itself as the number one fitness videographer. Well, you called me out on at the start, but not really, just using that. But it's there. So,
My
if
clickbait.
exactly, yeah. So if someone wants, quality content and they know my style and they want it in that style, they know they'll come to me. And that's kind of how my business has always built itself up, with Magic Eye.
Mm. It's creating it's like we were talking about before, it's just creating that style. It's creating the style that people like. People will buy into that style. And I think that's a good thing to um give advice to people who are starting out videography or whatever. Obviously
Yeah, yeah,
learn from different people, but quickly find your own style, tweak that style, improve that style over
yeah.
time. It won't be perfect from the start and it
Your
might take
style
you a
will
year.
change. Your style
Exactly.
will, you might even never, you might never ever really find your style. That's the thing, because again, you're you're just creating content how you like to create it. So you're not thinking, I'm going to do it this way. You're just doing it. And it just becomes your style. Like I never thought,
Mm.
oh, right, I'm going to do it this because this is my style. I've never done that. I've just done it the way I like to do it, put it out the way I like to put it out. That has become my style. And then the only thing like I said at the start, the only thing I'm really conscious of is not letting my style be swayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's making sure it's just finding your style is what you like. That is what
Yeah.
it is. Your style
That's
is
it.
what you like.
Yeah.
And what you like will always change. You might take a photo and do it in your usual thing. And then you might think, oh, actually, wait, I could do this differently. And then you change something and then you really like that instead. And then you run with that for a little while and then
Yeah.
it change again. You go back through your content, obviously you have your style, but you probably got loads of different ones which are different and
Oh yeah.
they look different, and you can probably see the progression over time of how you've built it to where you want it to be. But I don't think anyone will ever settle for one specific thing. It will always change. And those who are invested in the process, those who are invested in the journey will see that change over time. And the change will still be recognizable to you, because although it's still your style and it's changed a little bit, at the end of the day, it's still you who is posting it. It's still you who is like creating it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
For new videographers or new photographers, do you have any tips for starting out, whether they're beginner or intermediate?
The biggest tip is that you don't need to be a geek about camera equipment. I am the least geeky camera guy you'll ever meet in your life, because I'll be on shoots now and say there's like multiple camera guys there, videographers or photographers, and say we get like a minute in between or a couple of minutes chatting, and they'll start maybe chewing my ear off about like these certain settings and features and things like that. I'm like, nah, just not interested. I'm not interested.
Go away.
Yeah, not so much that, but it's like,
No joke.
it's not for me. Like, I've never been one for like being really like geeky with the camera stuff and all the new releases. Again, my style hasn't relied on these, so why would I be bothered about them? You know, I do get the fact that technology can bring another level to your game. I do like understand that. But you know, with what I've been able to do with Magic Eye and where I took it, why would I stress about these certain things when I've never needed them in the past? So don't be too concerned about my camera does this, my camera does that, and focus on the content that you're actually delivering. Focus on how you shoot it rather than what you can do to the camera to make it better for you to shoot. You know, you're the one using the camera. And also off the back of that, I do see a lot, even with some of the newer guys that are doing well, autofocus is like overused, man. I think, why would you put your camera onto like an automatic setting and rely on technology to create the look that you're wanting to create? I always got told like manual everything. And in fact, the first like real camera I bought was so shit at autofocus, I had to go manual. So it forced me to get good with manual focus. So I was like, I got really quick on like getting into focus manually. So yeah,
That's your tip. That's your tip. Buy a shit
that's
camera that has awful autofocus, and then you
exactly.
have to learn how to take a proper good
Yeah.
photo.
This was like 10 years ago though, so they're probably all okay now. But at the time, autofocus was dead on it, man. So I had to go manual. But yeah, just like the key point is, don't rely on the technology to create the look that you're trying to create from the shoot that you're on. You know, get as good as you can using the manual settings, because you can control the look rather than relying on technology. There's no
Learn
AI
the
setting
camera.
on cameras, you know.
Yeah. Learn the camera. Learn what works. Learn what doesn't work. Make
Mm,
mistakes.
yeah.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's a big one. Everyone expects to be perfect. Everyone is a quote unquote perfectionist nowadays, and they want it to be exactly how they envision, and that's not always the way it is. Like
No.
if I wanted perfect, all of my podcasts would be in person. I'd have a studio, I'd have a video people, like, but I got to do what I can work with. And like all of my podcasts are on my phone. Like I have a action camera, but I don't use it because it's too much effort to take it out of the software, change the color grading and all that stuff, put it back in. Like just
Sometimes the
work.
effort's worth it, bro. Sometimes the effort's worth it.
Sometimes, but also like this does the job. It works. I think for me, the main thing is making sure that I have a camera that is good quality. Obviously, your phone nowadays are probably better than 99% of a lot of average mid-range cameras anyway. But for me, the most important thing was audio. If I'm doing a podcast, I think 50% of my audience, or like 40% of my audience, is listened to. So
Yeah.
I've got to make sure that the audio is good. And that was my focus, making sure that it's different. And I've
Yeah.
actually had a few comments from people saying a lot of other bodybuilding podcasts, the audio is always terrible and all of that. So, and they said that
Yeah,
your one is actually really nicely produced. And that was, for me, that was a big thing. It was making sure that as the host, everything I do looks and sounds as good as it can for
yeah.
what I can
And
do.
that's another little tip for what we were just talking about with the videographers as well, is audio. If you're doing content that needs audio, make sure the audio is as crisp as can be. Again, technology's moved on, so we've got all the wireless mics and all that now. Yeah, the DJIs and all that, which are amazing compared to what we used to have to work with before the wireless mics came out. So just make sure that you put an effort into the audio side of things as well, because when you're creating content, again, the audio, like you've just said, matters just as much as the visual.
Mm. The last thing you want is to perfect the way it looks and the way everything moves, and then the audio be like really glitchy and awful.
Yeah,
Like, that's the
yeah.
last thing that you want. And like you're
It's
saying, there's with the wireless mics, there's so many mics that now that you can get, which I don't know where mine is, but I have the little DJI mic mini. You can
yeah,
get
yeah,
a single one of them for £49. Like the price nowadays of the lower end mics and the quality of them are so much higher than what they used to be, like you were saying.
yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
the
not
quality.
hard to get really good audio quality now. So just even if you have to take a little bit of investment into it, it will transform everything you do.
Yeah, yeah. I've been helping out a local guy that does content for me, because obviously I've got to produce a certain amount of content for this JP sponsorship and all that. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I've got like a new guy locally that I'm not mentoring as such, because he's not like, we haven't got that official relationship. But I've told him, look, anything you need from me, just ask. So he's, because I would have killed back in the day, man, to have someone like me on my doorstep that would be able to
Mm.
just feed me this information. Perhaps I should start charging him as I'm talking about it. But yeah, I've just been helping him, and I've said, look, invest in this, because these are important, and that that's exactly what he's done financially. Did it put him in a bit of a position? Yeah, but the back end of that, he's had more shoots. That creates more revenue. That money that you spend on that kit is back within weeks or
Mm.
days. So yeah, it's get it right the first time.
That's a very good tip. It's like, yes, you can be conservative in the way that, oh, I can't do this. Like, there's levels to it.
Yeah,
You can invest so much that you put yourself in an awful spot and then you can't do anything, and then that's not worth it. But if you find yourself scraping for a month or two, or you're really having to think about stuff, but on the back end, you're getting more out of it. You're getting more views. You're getting more outreach from other creators. You're getting more opportunities to show yourself off. Then 100% is worth it. Like, the thing is with starting out a business, or whether it's in coaching, whether it's in videography, whether it's in whatever it is, you got to go through hardship to get the reward out of it. You can't expect everything to be easy. You can't expect everything to be plain sailing. So almost expect to find yourself in months, some people even years, where you're scraping by and you're really struggling. And like you
yeah.
said, you're working 3 jobs. You might be working like 18 hours a week. No, 18 hours a day, or
Yeah, 18 hours a
like,
week could be a blessing.
yeah, so
I was going to say, Jesus.
like 50, 60 hour weeks, whatever. And you have to really, really grind on it.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it will pay out for you and you'll be in a better spot because of it. So
he
don't
will.
think of it as this massive hardship that you got to get over. It's just part of the process, is learning to be in business.
Exactly, man. It's like anything that we do, man. Like we're both bodybuilding as well. It's like the prep process. You've got to go through the shit. You've got to go through the shit to get to the other side, man. And that's with business and with bodybuilding and with with coaching as well. You need to outlay things these days, because as easy as it is to record your own content and do your own content, if you're able to outsource to get your business looking that little bit more professional out, online, that's our shop window. So it's worth the investment, obviously, when you can or think you can kind of justify the squeeze. Like,
Also, business never gets easier. It never
no,
does.
you just
And
get
there's
better at
all
dealing with it.
exactly, you get better at dealing with it, but there's always something else. There's always another thing. There's always an unexpected purchase. There's always a hardship where you go through, whether or not you break a lens, or even, like, God forbid, you break a camera. Like, there's always hardship that happens. It's not just the start of business, it's the fact that you've got into business. Everything is hard. Everything has its own levels. If you're expecting things to get easy, then you're in for a shit ride,
Yeah,
because it stays hard. And it's like what I was saying is that you might get busier and you might actually be working harder, but you get better at dealing with it and more efficient with it. So it doesn't feel as hard, but it's still hard work.
yeah, yeah. More money, more problems.
Mm. It will think of it in a bodybuilding space for those who are bodybuilders. Like, you get your pro card for the first time, like, it doesn't get better. You're just in a bigger ocean now. You get to the Olympia for the first time. You're
You're
back at
back
the
to the
bottom of the
bottom of the
bigger
pile,
ocean.
man. You're back.
Exactly.
You're the bottom of the pile again. Yeah,
Like, unless you're even at the top of Olympia, if you win Olympia, you're now in an ocean of your own mind.
yeah.
Like, there's always that extra bit. There's always that bigger puddle ahead, and what you think is going to change your life and make everything so amazing, it is not. Like, you're in for a ride, and it's just a constant roller coaster.
It is, man. It
So talk
truly
to me a
is.
little bit about your bodybuilding journey. Obviously, you're fat and happy at the moment, as you said, deep in an off
Thanks,
season.
bro. I think we said that off camera, so officially you've called me fat and happy live. Wicked.
Calling you out.
So yeah, I'm in. What am I in? I'm like halfway through the off season, just past halfway through the off season. We're doing quite a short one, shortest one I've ever done, because the boss has called it that I need to go again this year. So we've got like 9 weeks left. I had a good year last year. I'm not sure any of you guys listening and yourself as well how much you followed along, but I did like 7 shows. Did really well. It was a solid prep, a long prep. It was 31 weeks in total, and then
How much of that was spent in season?
from so I was peeled a 14 weeks in, because that's every year we prep. It's week 14. I'm there. So I was in condition for like 17 weeks pretty much. I did get a little bit better, obviously, but I was like very, very lean at like 14 weeks into it. But it was just a chaotic year because of work commitments, with traveling with Magic Eye. I think the back end of the first week of prep, I traveled to Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Pro. So I was out there for that last year. That was like the initial first week of prep. And then I think I tallied it up, and it was about 16 flights on prep in total. Yeah. It was brutal, but it feels like a blur now. At the time, it was like I was just going through it, just getting from one week to the next, getting the jobs done. And then we had to stagger the shows around, obviously, these trips, because I wanted to make sure that bodybuilding was getting all the attention it needed, but then that wouldn't interfere to my work.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant, getting my regionals done earlier so that I could nail the work that I had on in between. And then I'd be able to freshen up ready for the British and all that. So that's kind of how last year went. And then this year is going to be a shorter prep, not 31 weeks. We'll probably do a regular 21 weeks season.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we go in for Two Bros. We've got the Two Bros regional, Two Bros British, my official pro debut in the PCA at the PCA Pro Show. And then after that, is debatable whether I'm going to go back to Milan and try and get some redemption out there, or do the PCA Worlds in Spain. That's a conversation I'm yet to have with Cal. So yeah, that's where we're at right now, man. But I'm happy. Like I'm like with the time that I've been doing this, mate. Like I said earlier as well, I only really started seriously calling myself a bodybuilder like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even after my first season, I didn't really feel comfortable calling myself one. So, in the space of 3 or 4 years, we've done quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm in a similar position. It's like obviously I've competed and I've done that, and I mean, like even before I competed, everyone calls you a bodybuilder, and like a lot of the time, you don't you just say it so that people know what you do, but it doesn't mean that you feel like you're a bodybuilder or that you're officially there yet. And I think
Yeah.
it takes a lot to get to that point. Like, when did you at what point did you realize or come to the consideration that you are actually going to consider yourself a bodybuilder and you feel like the time is right?
Well, I did the first season, and I did well there. I won all the shows that I did, and I won an overall. I won like the Mr. Wales title that first year. But even after that, if it's still, because I was only supposed to do 1 year. Like that was, I was just dipping in, having a go, and
It's
then
never
dipping
one
out.
year.
But like I'm older, so it was like I was looking at it thinking, right, let me just do this before I'm done, before the time's passed that I can actually do this. So I did it. So I still didn't really feel comfortable calling myself a bodybuilder. And then the next season we did well again. And I think probably after that season was where I was a little bit more comfortable saying, if someone asked me what I do, or I mean, it was more times than not, people would say, "Oh, you're a bodybuilder, are you?" Because I'd put on like a bit of size and that by that point. So it was kind of, they could see it. The
Mhm.
evidence was there. But yeah, for me personally though, and that's just like maybe a self-esteem thing, a self-belief thing. I think only last year, Carl actually put something out about this. Is like only last year I really started believing in myself that I could do well because of the people I was going up against and the people that I was beating as well. When I've got people like Cal and JP in my corner where they're saying certain things to me, it's like it blows my mind.
You know
So I'm
it's
like,
real.
if these guys believe in me, they don't have to say, especially Jordan. I mean, Carl's my coach, and he still wouldn't blow smoke. That's not to say he does, because he definitely does not. But Jordan doesn't have to say that. Jordan is like the straightest guy you'll meet.
Mm.
And obviously we've become friends over the years of me working for JP as a videographer and now an athlete. But the things he was saying to me was like, well, if this guy is believing me and this guy is believing in me, it's time I started fucking believing in myself. And that's kind of the mantra I had for last season, because that's where I was just able to keep going and keep going and keep going.
How did you find that shift in starting to believe yourself in the way that you were looking, the way that you were feeling on a day to day?
It, I mean, how I felt about it, I think I was so deep in prep, bro, and I was so lean, I didn't really feel anything. I was numb. I was
We
numb.
love that time. It's great. Business is
Yeah.
amazing because you don't care about anything else.
Nothing, bro. Nothing. All you care about is that, like, the reply of a check-in or the notification. I've said this before. The notification where it says Callum has collaborated in a post on Instagram, because he's put a check-in picture up, and you're like, seal of approval. We're on the money here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really feel anything, mate. It was just like, looking back at it, it's just it was a wild year. I'm just glad I documented it all on YouTube, because I released a video every single week for prep, multiple times, in fact. And yeah, I just kept on top of the content. So being able to look back and watch that now is just like priceless.
Yeah, I think that's um it's definitely something that I somewhat regret. Like I started one and then just things happened, things got busy, just didn't find myself always in the mood to document it. And now I look back at the photos, I look back on the clips that I did and the different videos and posing and stuff like that, and just I'd love to relive that because especially for my first, and I never lived it properly.
Yeah.
I never really felt like I was in it. And that's the same for a lot of people's first. Um, like even this diet phase has just felt a breeze. Like I haven't felt any different, and I'm almost at the same kind of condition as I was back when I was like 6, 7 weeks out, and I was considered like one of my leanest.
Yeah.
Um, and it doesn't feel like that. Like I haven't changed as a person. No, the most important one, my mum hasn't said that I've changed, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Um, but like even just the way I act and like back in prep, I still remember the days I'd go to work and like I worked literally up until my show. And for those who don't know, I'm an indoor skydiving instructor, so I'm like something very out there, very different.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just a shell. Like I'd be working 12 to 14 hours and I was just a shell. I'd be in the tunnel with customers and like I'd just have a blank face. I'd have my colleagues come up to me saying, "Are you okay? Like you feeling okay?"
Yeah.
I had people saying, "You look so grey, you look pasty," and I was. And I think a lot of that came back to how I felt. It wasn't necessarily that um, I looked bad in a sense. It was just I felt horrible. I wasn't present in the moment. I didn't know that that was how I was going to feel. So everything was a shock, and then
Yeah.
everything felt a lot harder as a result. I'm sure you probably felt the same in the
Yeah.
starting out.
I definitely did. I, like I documented that first prep. I documented, but that was because it was. It might have been the only time that I did it. Like I was still like full on like magic eye, going everywhere. Shooting. So it was never like I'm going to pursue bodybuilding as a thing. It was just like I'm doing everything. So let's just have a go at competing and see if if I do well or if I enjoy it. But I documented it just so that I can look back on it for the memory books, and that's what I
Hmm.
always do my content for. There was a bigger meaning behind that prep as well, so that was like it was a very emotional prep for me. So I wanted to make sure that I got that done content wise, just for me and the family as well.
Hmm.
Not that like dictated the prep in any sort of way, but it's just good to because they knew what was driving my prep, and for them to see it all unfold and go back and watch it unfold again, like I said, it's priceless, man. Those moments are priceless, and that's why I've continued to document every single thing religiously for the last 5 years now.
Yeah, the I think because I had hardship in mind, that's why I wish I documented it more than I did. I think for me, like you said, it's more for yourself. It's being able to look back and really sit in that moment again and rewatch that and rewatch how you did feel. Um, and just understanding the thought processes you were going through so that when you go into that position again, you now know how to deal with it a little bit better. You now know how to move forward with it. And the key thing is like in any prep you do, whether it's your first, your fifth, your 10th, whatever, there's always the opportunity, there's always the chance that you could go into something that you've never faced before, and there's always a chance that something happens that you've never dealt with. Um, and I think the more that you're present within the moment, the more that you're present within how you feel and in connection with your body, the more you'll be able to positively react to it and not react necessarily in an emotional state and more in a logical and okay, let me just take a step back. Like, yes, this is hard. Yes, this is a situation which is really, really tough mentally. But at the same time, like, is this affecting everything else? Not really. Is it potentially affecting family and stuff? Okay, cool. I can deal with that on a separate stage, on a separate level, but what I'm doing doesn't change and what I'm doing stays the same. I think that just comes with experience and time and being present and thinking logically, even when you feel like you physically can't.
Yeah. And you only know what you know, bro. So you don't know until you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my first prep was hard on the household. Like, it was hard. Preps didn't get easier after that point. We just got better at processing it as a unit, like me and the wife. Do you know what I mean? It's like she knew what to expect. Again, she didn't know what to expect from the prep, let alone me.
I think that's what's hardest about the first one.
Yeah, it's others.
Mm. And it's the one thing that it's the one mistake I made that a lot of people make, and it's that you feel like by isolating, you actually stop other people getting involved in it and stop other people getting hurt by it. But actually,
Yeah,
that's the worst thing to do, because other people then notice you're isolating and then get
yeah,
hurt
yeah,
because you're no longer involved with everything.
yeah. That's it. That's it.
Um, Obviously, I was living at home when I did my prep, and if you ever do a prep, if any of you watching and you ever do a prep at home, it is very, very difficult, because your parents will constantly tell you how ill you look and how horrible you look and how you don't you're not functioning correctly, especially if they're not necessarily not supportive in it, but don't understand it or don't um, enjoy the way that the things that you're doing.
Yeah,
It can be really hard that way. But at the same time, just I was talking to Mikey about it. It's like even just coming home from work and just saying hello and just saying hi and asking how their day was. That's all they need. That's what my mum was telling me towards the end of my prep. It was like, I understand that mentally you're very clouded, mentally you're very fatigued, but simply just coming in and saying hello, hey, hi, um, and just interacting for a second or 5 minutes. That's all it has to be. And there'll
yeah.
be a bit more peace.
Well, at least you know that next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, I'm hoping that next time I won't be still at home, but
Go
we
home.
never
Yeah,
know. That's the plan anyway. But
yeah, yeah.
um, I got a question. Who were your role models in bodybuilding,
Role models
if
in
any,
bodybuilding.
if any?
Yeah, because I've got the podcast, and this is something that we kind of do on there. It's like the Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding in terms of like the role models that we've kind of looked up to. And I've always said like the same kind of people, really. I mean, in terms of if we're going to like say the big names straight off the top, like
Mm-hmm.
Flex Lewis is going to be the guy for me, just because Welsh, if none of you already could hear the accent. But just in terms of how he took himself stateside, what he did with his in his bodybuilding career, but also built businesses alongside it. That's very very relatable to me in terms of like the plate spinning that I tend to do. Definitely not on the level of Flex, but we both hold Mr. Wheels titles, so I'm going to run with that one. But yeah,
You're on
Flex is
par. You're on par.
we're on par, man. We're on par. We're both on the books. But yeah, Flex is, and we've become friends as well. This is someone that I used to queue up to, have a photo with and autograph, and now he's someone that slides in my DMs every now and again, like even on preps, to say keep flying the flag and all that kind of thing. So
That's pretty
Flex is
surreal.
definitely on there. And then JP is again, he is like the guy of British bodybuilding. Also someone that spins plates. He's doing his bodybuilding. Will we ever see him on stage again? Who knows? I may know, but who knows? But
Yeah.
he's and he is the guy for British bodybuilding, in terms of what he's done with the business, where he's taken the business now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously biased because I am, part of the company as well, but there's no secret, like, he's killing it. Callum is a huge role model for me as well, just because of what he's been able to. I'm not sure if role model is the right word, but definitely a massive like inspiration for me,
Mm-hmm.
because he's unlocked this thing in me which I didn't think I had, and he's allowed me to evolve
Awesome,
at
isn't
my
it?
own pace. But I think especially this last year or so. I think I've even surprised him with what I've been capable of doing within bodybuilding. But he's always believed in me to do that, you know. So Carl is definitely up there. And then the two other people, there's two other people. They come as a unit because they're actually a husband and wife, and that's just the original mentors I had when I first stepped into it. And Mike and Lisa Gelsey, who are based here in Wales, they're quite like renowned in the bodybuilding industry as judges, as coaches, and they were like the first people that I reached out to when I typed in Google like 10, 11 years ago, bodybuilding coach. There was no such thing as online coaching then. And yeah, so they were like the first people that steered my path, so to speak. So they would be the other two, and we're still really good friends today. And I still go and kind of, if I need my head wobbled on prep, I'll go and have a conversation and a cup of coffee down there with them. You know,
That's really special. It's nice that for each of those role models, you have your own personal reasons. Like there's, I think, like you were saying, you don't know whether or not you consider it a role model or an inspiration for some of them. But I think a role model is anyone who has allowed you to become who you are today. And I think a lot of people hold role models as these big figures that everyone knows. But when you ask them why they're a role model, it's normally like the values that that person hold, but there's no necessary personal value behind it.
yeah,
And I think someone you look up to, a role model who you consider one, should always be someone who has allowed you to become the person you are today and continues to improve the person you are. And I think that's just a lot more personal, and it's a lot more. It's deeper. It's deeper than just saying, "Oh, my role model is C-Bum." It's like,
yeah,
well, that's everyone's role model, but it's like,
yeah,
why is he a role model?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's inspiring, obviously. Like these guys at the top are inspiring, but do they actually influence your life in any like real way? No. But whereas all those people I just mentioned have, like, still do. And I'm older than most of them, you know, and I'm looking up to them. So work that out.
But that's the thing. Age is just a number. It doesn't
That's
matter.
what I keep telling myself on a daily basis, bro.
As you reach the final stages.
Don't say the number.
Finally, then, are
Yeah.
there any lessons in that bodybuilding has taught you over the years that you still hold today,
The lessons in bodybuilding.
or life?
I mean, it's just like the one thing which I mentioned there is the self-belief thing, you know, is you might, if you think you're not capable of something enough, you're not going to do it. If I thought, if we went back 11 years ago and said, in 4 or 5 years' time, you're going to be flying around the world, paid flights, expenses, filming the athletes that you're queuing up 3 hours to meet, staying in their Airbnb, sitting at their table, eating their food with them, working with them, you know, having relationships with these people, I would never have believed you. Like, I would, you know, it's something that you kind of like, you crack a joke at. It's not, it's like, it's a dream.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, it happened. It did happen. It was never intentional. I know your podcast is called Built with Intent, but it wasn't intentional for me to get to that point. But I always say a phrase, which is passion takes you places. And the passion that I had in that created the lanes for me to get to where I got to with Magic Eye and with whatever I'm doing now as well. And that would never, excuse the dog, the postman is delivering. But yeah, the lanes wouldn't have been there if I continued to say to myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth doing that. So
Mhm.
the self-belief thing is huge for me. And that goes for both business, personal, and just general life ambitions as well, you know, to the house we live in. You know, if we go back 10 years to the house we lived in, and if we had said we could live in the house that we live in now, and I'd have this office with everything around me that I've got, again, if I said, no, it's never going to happen, it's never going to fucking happen. So you need to, the lesson is to just continue to like breed that positivity and just live your passion, because something will always come off the back of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Quite deep, but it's true.
It's needed. It's a good way. It's a great way to end.
There we go.
Um, everyone, that is Jay Davis. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to jump on here and speak with me.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for asking. And if you want to do it in the future, wherever, just give me a shout, man. It's been great.
100%. Where can people find you?
So J Davis _ no limits on Instagram, or Magic Eye Media on Instagram. It depends which hat that you want me to wear. If you want the coaching hat, it's no limits. So J Davis _ no limits. If you're after magic on the camera, it's Magic Eye Media. And then I've got my my coaching page, which is just No Limits Online Coaching as well, as you can see there.
Yeah,
So
sick. And what can people expect in the next year?
me getting back on stage, me developing myself within the coaching realm a bit more. I've got a lot of clients stepping on stage this year, so I will be popping up at a lot more shows without my camera in hand, and probably my little bag full of goodies for my athletes. So yeah, it's an exciting year ahead. I've got a lot of people competing, so I'm going to be doing my shoots, of course, but there's going to be a lot more of me on the scene in a different aspect this year.
Love it. Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
again. And if you have listened for this long and you've enjoyed, or if your ears have been blessed, let's say, thank you very much for joining. I hope you leave a like, and if you want to listen to more in future, leave a subscribe as well. But again, thank you very much, everyone, and we will speak to you soon. Peace out.
Peace.